So first of all, thank you so much, Adela, for coming on the Creative Confessions podcast. We got to know each other through the Women of Web Summit. And so I'm so glad we've stayed connected and through like Josh's community, Web Designer Pro, and everything like that. I actually watched your training in there, which was super good. And I noticed that you focus a lot on sustainability within your brand and for creatives. So just give us a little introduction about yourself.
Sure. Hi. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. So yeah, we did meet at the WOW Summit last year, and we're on it again this year, which is
Yes.
fabulous. So my background is in ecology and conservation and environmental science. So sustainability has become a lot more important now with, well, all businesses. I'm over in the UK, and most
Mhm.
businesses have to really look at how they're running their business. So my kind of specialty niche is still teaching web designers how to run a more sustainable business, but also how to build more sustainable websites. So there's kind of two sides of the same coin, and actually I've got some free trainings on that we can link to for your audience if they're interested.
Yes, I would love that.
So it's once we start understanding, it's just like I guess it's a way of life now for me. You look at everything you're doing and think, oh, what impact is it having on the planet? Can I do this better, more efficiently? But it's about being more mindful and just aware of what you're doing, not necessarily stopping doing things, just understanding what you're doing.
That's awesome. I really appreciate your focus on sustainability in all aspects with not only the environment, but then within ourselves. And before we started recording, we were talking about sustainability in your life and all the decisions that you have to constantly make, just as a web designer and as a business owner and as a person. We're just constantly bombarded with all these little decisions.
Mhm.
How do you, how would you say that minimizing those decisions helps avoid burnout?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, and it's funny you say that. My approach has always been like, look at the planet as a whole,
Mhm.
sustainability, ecology, like the big picture. Then look at your business, look at people, and then look at like your personal energy. So you kind of start drilling down. Oh, it's great running a sustainable business, but what about me? What about my
Mhm.
energy levels? And you can kind of equate, say, the money your business earns with the energy that you have. Kind of money and energy are sort of similar, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So anything we can do to reduce the amount of energy we have to use or put out or spend, then we're keeping more energy like for ourselves. So it's kind of like efficient energy management of yourself without it sounding too dry. Just really like noticing like where you might put a lot of energy that you don't
Mhm.
need to. Like we mentioned earlier, and I know this isn't just me, but when we get stuck in perfectionism, like we're finishing a website and we just want to do that last 200 pixel tweaks, like it doesn't matter, we don't have to do that. But if we're stuck in this like perfectionism thing, we can end up spending a lot more time, energy, potentially losing money, by
Mhm.
constantly refining when actually it was probably fine how it was.
Yes. I definitely find myself in those traps of doing the little things that not anybody would really notice, but because it's me and I have that perfectionist tendency to go in there and change things such as like pixels or padding or how this thing looks,
Mhm.
and we kind of get in ourselves in those traps. How have you been able to um, kind of shift your mindset on that to stop focusing on those things, even if you
Mhm.
are a perfectionist?
Yeah. Well, I think the trick for me is you have to notice that you're doing it. And
Mhm.
for a long time, I didn't even realize that I was doing it. And still, I started time tracking. I've got a little app on my browser. I started time tracking and realized that some of the websites I was building, I was probably earning less than minimum wage if I actually
Mhm.
clocked my hours. And I was thinking, that can't be right. Like, how can that be possible? So paying much more attention to what I was doing and then realizing, oh, I'm just losing hours. And I think what happens is I get to a point where, let's just say with website building, it's finished, it's good enough.
Mhm.
Instead of just pausing and then stepping away, coming back to it the next day, I'm kind of compelled to keep going. It's like my body doesn't realize it can stop. So it just keeps going and keeps going. So it's catching what you're doing at first, which isn't easy, but then kind of laughing, that helps. It's almost like I have to break the tension between me and my computer. Like, we're not falling out, we're not having a breakup, you know,
Yes.
but actually this is finished, and then step away and actually walk outside. And so your central nervous system actually feels, oh, thank God, I'm not plugged into the computer anymore. And you can start kind of coming down.
I feel that as well. Like having those breaks, as sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't need it. I can work for, 12 hours straight and I can do this. And yeah, I'll eat lunch later and I'll get to it at midnight whenever I'm, winding down for bed. But having those moments of actually breaking out of that and going outside, when I do that, which is very rare, it actually does help. And I'm able to come in and my mindset is almost refreshed. Like it just hit the reset button, like turn it off and on the computer. It's like, okay, and now I'm ready again. With those and kind of like saying a website is finished, do you have any routines that you've implemented that it's like, hey, now to kind of prevent myself from doing those things, have you started any kind of like routine or ritual at the end of a website project to kind of just say, this is final, this is done?
I think, it's a really good question, because I think we know that they're never, ever actually really.
Yes.
And I often manage websites for my clients once they're built on a hosting and maintenance plan. But what I noticed, we were talking earlier about working with creatives and artists. So what I notice is I will always say, this is phase one. Phase one is finished, and that makes it much easier to accept. Phase one is finished. Actually, it's finished. But we call it phase one, and then anything else that maybe there's niggles, all those tweaks that we think in the moment we have to make, we know we really don't. I push those like into phase two under a rolling maintenance plan, and reality is those things never get done because they didn't need doing. So it's psychological.
No, that is so perfect. I actually think you just unlocked something for me, because I feel like as creatives, and a lot of us, web designers and brand designers, we are creatives at heart. So we keep, it's hard to put a painting down that you keep wanting to put the paintbrush to. So having that as like the end of a website project doesn't feel so final, like, oh, and that's the last time I can get in there and touch stuff and make it perfect. But it's more of like, oh, phase one is complete, and now I can pick this back up at a later time. But in all reality, you don't need to a lot of the times unless clients have requests and things. So that's awesome.
And I actually learned that I wasn't doing it for myself when I kind of had that realization. It's because I noticed that clients were getting a little bit worried. They were thinking like there was this big launch and like the whole world would see the website immediately, which we know isn't reality, but it could feel like that. So it's all in the language. I would explain, well, this is a soft launch. We put the site live. We don't tell anybody about it yet. We leave it for a couple of weeks. Web gremlins, let the web gremlins do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And then tell everyone about it. So a lot of it is kind of a bit of coaching of like, just a soft launch, don't put so much on it. We can make ourselves stressed and anxious about things sometimes. So soft launch, phase one, if anything needs changing, we can change it. And then I start telling myself that if anything needs changing, you can change it. Nothing's final. This is just phase one, Adela. Oh, I'm talking to myself.
No, I love that, the phase one kind of thing, because again, it's giving you enough permission to say, hey, I'm ending the task that I'm doing for this, but it's not the final thing. So yeah, I'm going to implement that from now on, of like, this is phase one and we can always come back. And that kind of also allows you to put a final deadline for you and the client, but then also promote, future and ongoing work. Have you noticed that having that stop has allowed you to kind of move into phase two with projects and allow you to, bring in more income from that?
It has, because I used to be really guilty of scope creep. So I'm in the middle of a project. I love what I'm doing. Can we just do this? Can we just do this? And actually the answer now is, that would be really great for phase two. Let me write that down, if you're like in a live conversation. like write it down and then say, okay, this is amazing for phase 2, but I really want to get finished on phase 1 because this is just awesome. And always bring the attention back to this is the thing at hand that we're doing, but this project is really, really amazing for the future, and I'll scope that out for you. So there's no ambiguity, then it's going to be another freebie.
That I'm telling you, you are unlocking a lot for me right now, because I often think that, or I'll scope creep on myself and just be like, oh, but that, they need this, or this would be such a great thing to have, or, the website would be so much better if we added this thing. But then again, you're putting the pressure on yourself. You're reducing your hourly rate because you're adding this other thing, or so kind of having that as like a phase 2 conversation. And then that opens up the door for more work later on.
Absolutely. And I've been so guilty of, we could do this, and then let me just add a blog because we need a blog. And actually 3 blogs, I could do 12. And now I look back and think, wow, no wonder I was exhausted and nearly burning out, but I was doing it to myself. In that, clients weren't asking. I was just getting really enthusiastic, like, I want to do this would be so great. And so it's self-discipline. It's that D word. Discipline and then boundaries. But again, if we don't know that we're doing that, then how can we stop doing it? And that for me is through reflection with other web designers. I've been in a few web design communities over the years, and you share with people and I'll hear them say, well, I don't include that, that's always extra, or I would never do that included in a basic website. I would charge extra. Or the other side, when I've explained about, my phase 1 and maintenance plan, I see their lights go on going, oh yeah, so I could help with more content and produce posts on an ongoing retainer. So it kind of, we all work together and collaborate, which is, that's what I love about the web design community. I've been trying to retire for years. Ask Josh, ask Anya, like I keep saying I'm retired, and that was like very long time ago, and here I am.
Yes, no, I definitely feel that as well, of like, for example, Josh talks a lot about, the mindset of kind of going for like community versus competition, or co-opetition is what he calls it a lot. And having other web designers makes me realize, oh, they do charge extra for that. I was actually having a conversation the other day, and it was like, oh yeah, we don't put foundational SEO on a website unless it's extra. Like that's an extra thing. And I'm like, but I feel like it needs it. But they're like, but you have to equate the value of it. Yes, but does the client need it and want it? Is that something that they're willing to pay extra for? And just kind of seeing that from a different lens, because it does take extra time. Whereas so just like figuring out those things that are actually needed, and then what can be added on later, or what can be added onto the scope too. So maybe the client feels like they're getting more value out of that now because it's an extra than if it was just included.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've noticed a lot with you've seen my training, so I do lots of different trainings. I do in-person stuff as well, but I noticed, so at the moment, quite a few clients want to learn how to use LinkedIn. So I help them with like profile building. I can talk about anything, like anywhere. So when clients say, well, I don't really know what to talk about, I don't know what to write about, I'm like, okay, let's go on a call. We're going to record it. I'm going to give you 100 ideas of what you can write about for your industry, that's on brand, that's interesting, because I'm a Gemini. I think that's where it comes from. Don't stop talking and having ideas. So we will do a lot of screen shares, so I can actually walk people through, here's your profile, here's your company page if you're using one, here's how to repost, here's how to connect, because I'm realizing people just don't know how to use it. So that for me is really satisfying, because I can tie it back to the website and say, okay, this is how you can, repurpose your blogs. You can write articles on LinkedIn. You can point back to your website and get things starting to kind of work like a marketing wheel, I call it. So whenever you post, make sure you're pointing back to somewhere else so people can kind of follow you, find you, hire you.
That kind of, and one thing we touched on before the call even is how we both like to go work with fewer clients and go really deep within those client relationships. And kind of what you're talking about with, the LinkedIn and the repurposing for your website and blog and things, you're really creating like a whole ecosystem for them. And so when I think about sustainability, I also think about ecosystems in ways like, how your marketing all fits and works together. But I also think about your business ecosystem, like your networking ecosystem, the ecosystem of the earth, and how all these moving parts work together. Would you say that it's important for creatives to build an ecosystem for their own brand as far as marketing, and then a personal ecosystem to help them stay sustainable without burnout? It's kind of two
Ooh,
questions in one.
that's a juicy question. How would I start with that? I guess so. I'm a systems thinker from studying ecology. I actually went to uni. I'm digressing, but I first went to
Yeah.
uni when I was 19 to study philosophy. I wanted to understand how it all worked. What I didn't realize was I was studying in the School of Cognitive Science, which had artificial intelligence modules.
Huh.
So this is when I'm like 19. Don't ask me how long ago. You know how long ago that was.
Yeah.
And so we're studying like, Descartes, I think therefore I am, Locke, like some real heavy philosophy stuff. We're learning AI, and basically we were learning to program the early chatbots. They don't exist anymore, but it was called Eliza. And you were programming, morning, how are you today? I am fine, thank you. How are you? How is your weekend? And you can see now like the chatbots we have everywhere, like starting to program those. So after a few months, it blew my mind. This is my creative confession, maybe. I dropped out of uni the first time because I literally thought, I don't understand what the heck philosophy has got to do with AI. So now, I absolutely understand exactly what philosophy and ethics has to do with AI, but that's for later, maybe. So I went back in a second time and discovered ecology because I want to understand how everything is like this. So ecology is the study of the interconnectedness of all things. So that blew my mind, understanding that was actually like a subject, like not just food webs, but the whole planet, like how it functions as one living organism. I mean, I'm still passionate about it. But with understanding that kind of systems, it's very, very similar with digital systems and AI systems. It's actually all the same approach and thinking, how everything is connected. So when things drop out of an ecosystem physically, you might have a collapse of a forest or, a collapse of a species or something. Now when I'm working with clients, it's like, oh, my contact form's not working. What dropped out? This isn't connected to this. What dropped out? Or, I'm not getting leads. People aren't contacting me. What dropped out? So it's become all of the same now, like getting everything connected, working smoothly and keeping it like that. Just like that.
That's so cool. You putting that picture to it and saying something about the ecosystem, because every time that I think about, like ecology and the world, I do think about the ecosystem and how everything's kind of one piece, and how you related it to the contact form of like, hey, well, if this piece isn't working or it's, dropped out, then the leads aren't coming through. Well, then the business is affected, or then the marketing that we're doing isn't working as effectively because we're not able to, get them in there. What systems would you say help you in life with staying sustainable as far as, not burning out?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's actually only one. That's my nature practice. So for me, let's say in the first thing in the morning, I will go outside. I'm tempted to jump on the computer. I used to do that. Go outside first with coffee and then just notice that I'm alive, because we can jump into work and not even kind of realize, like really get back in your body after sleeping. I'm lucky I have a garden. I can just go and sit outside, breathe in that fresh air, and then just start being really mindful and start noticing what's around you. Like it's a new day. Like every day is a new day with new ideas come through, like the air, the wind, the birds, whatever it is. I maybe it's a Gemini thing. So everything is information. It's like
Mhm.
everything actually is talking to you. Everything is telling you something. We just kind of have to listen. But
Uh-huh.
we're not brought up to do that. But once you start not taking in so much information in, like from
Mhm.
a computer or whatever, and just start listening to what we think might be nothing, we
Mhm.
can start hearing other things, which is actually our own quiet voice, our own intuition, our own ideas. So
Mhm.
if we can take time away from anyone else and off the phone, definitely off the phone, even just 5-10 minutes in the morning, to literally, the idea is you just want to clear anyone else's thoughts out or anyone else's ideas out, and just kind of remember who you are and what you were doing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
mission, what were you, what were you doing? What do you think? What feels good for you? What's the right thing for you to do?
Mhm.
And then step in and start your day. So that's practice one.
Yeah. That's a
And then,
practice I need to implement.
and it sounds so simple, but it isn't actually that easy to make a commitment every morning that that's the first thing that you do. Because I think a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this, first thing you do is pick your phone up and turn it on to see what's pinging you. But that's
Mhm.
a very reactive state of working. So you're kind of responding to urgency and emergency, when actually what we need to be doing is remembering what we're doing.
Mhm.
And through the day, you can literally just carry on with that same practice through the day. But the one thing that because I consider myself a creative, when I get stuck, like start getting a brain drain or my creative flow just stops, all I need to do is go out and walk. It might be half an hour, it might be an hour,
Mhm.
but I'm out walking again, clear my mind, and then I'm literally, second creative confession, I'm literally talking to trees, because it just
Mhm.
it kind of stops any sort of mental looping or brain freeze,
Mhm.
especially for women of a certain age, which you are not, but I am. Like, you just get asking, like, what was I doing? What's the best way to handle this? What's the best way
Mhm.
to approach this tricky email? How should I respond to this client? Or how am I going to build this app with these 72, 78 cards and MP3 files? Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to do that? And literally by the time I get back from the walk, I'm kind of voice dictating into my phone quickly, this is how we're going to do it. And it's like a map or something like that comes in with, got it.
Mhm.
That's how I'm going to do it. And I think the other way would be, to Google, to use AI, to ask Claude, what do you think about this? Which is fine. That's one way. But what I noticed with that is I'm overwhelmed in like a microsecond.
Mhm.
It's not in alignment with my heart. It probably is a good idea, probably could work, but it's not my idea. It's not
Uh-huh.
it's not in alignment with how I want to do things. So it kind of pulls, for me anyway, and I know I'm not the only one, it will just pull me out of my core and go, oh, I'll do that.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Here's this huge map of world domination. Like, thanks, Claude. But
Yeah.
actually, no, I was just asking, what's the one next step to move this project forward with this client, so I can
Mhm.
close off phase one, keep it more simple.
Yes, a few things that you said really, really stuck out to me, and that was listening to your own intuition and your own ideas, because I get in the loop of I don't know if it's like I'm addicted to information or what, or addicted to the noise, or have to constantly have something to stimulate my mind, which probably comes from, growing up and being a Gen Z. It's just like we were just always had something going on.
Mm,
But I find myself even trying to go outside and like have a quiet minute and a walk, my mind just goes like a mile a minute, or I feel more soothed to listen to a podcast where people are, can constantly talking, or like we're getting all this information overload from other people that
mm,
sometimes it's hard to differentiate that self, or differentiate your own thoughts from all the information you're taking in all the time, every single day, jumping from task to task, AI feeding you all of this stuff that it thinks you should do. And, like you're saying, world domination in 3 easy steps. And it's like, and it
yeah.
spits out, a page of stuff. listening to your, have you found that with other people and other creatives that you've worked with, is there constantly an information overload, you know?
I think, I mean, for me, and this has been a long journey,
Mhm.
I think we can be addicted to information. That was my first hit. It was years ago. I went on a very rare, went on holiday, took my
Uh-huh.
laptop, got there in a complete panic that the Wi-Fi wasn't on at the hotel, went out to find like a cafe to just hook up and get on the internet, and I was in such a panic. And then I managed to log in and then just went, what was I doing? There was
Mhm.
no reason for me to log in at all. I had
Mhm.
work to do, I had no reason, but my body was literally, it was almost going cold turkey from not being plugged in. And that to me was like a real wake up call of, okay, something's very wrong here.
Mhm.
Information addiction, internet addiction. I know Gabor Mate, if you've come across him, talks
I
about
haven't.
a lot of this kind of stuff, different kinds of addictions that we think drugs and alcohol, but actually information,
Mhm.
internet shopping, buying apps on AppSumo, all that kind of
Oh, no.
compulsion. Guilty of that one.
You caught me.
I knew it. But when we start realizing that there must be something else going on in us, our central nervous system is looking for something to stimulate us. So maybe we're, I don't know, tired, depressed, I don't know, stressed, and we're looking for these, dopamine hits from information. That's why these phones, these beautiful iPhones we have, and scrolling is so addictive, because we're getting these little top ups
Mhm.
in our energy battery. So I think for most people, it's really difficult to just go outside for like 10 minutes with no phone and not doing anything, because what tends to happen is your head just floods with voices and noise. So you kind of have to start slowly. Like I've taken people meditating before, and like 3 minutes was enough because it's too much for people who haven't done it
Mhm.
before. We start noticing our own thoughts, and it's like, holy crap, it's busy in there. It's really busy in there. So I talked about this thing on the first podcast I did with Josh, like to not compare
Mhm.
yourself to others. And that isn't just from maybe a self-esteem perspective. It's don't compare yourself to others, because we're taking in other people's views, opinions, thoughts that maybe are not ours. But if other people are shouting louder, we can start to doubt and think, oh,
Mhm.
maybe so, like my app idea I was telling you about earlier, oh, maybe that won't work.
Uh-huh.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't do it. And as soon as the doubt comes in, you're probably not going to do it.
Mhm.
So it's, not comparing, not listening, and really trying to stay in your lane. So it's a discipline. Again, it's not easy, but when you start watching yourself, it's like, oh, I'm checking something again. I'm email checking is another big one for me. I'm
Me.
really addicted, and it's like I just checked them 6 times in a row. What is going on in my brain that I have to do that? So now it tells me if I'm doing any like repetitive task ticking, checking, that's the time to step away. And that's
Mhm.
I get it. My body's actually quite clearly telling me, stop, go away, or I'm going to make you go click, 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 click.
Uh-huh. No, I feel that too, especially with email. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about. It's like if I don't see it, it's like I'm not in the know, or it's like I don't know something that's going on right now and I have to be in the know about everything. Like I have a hard time. I've started using the do not disturb on my phone a lot more, and sometimes I've used it for like calls and when I'm in the, actively doing something I don't want to be bothered. But honestly, I've started using it for just like deeper blocks of work, just to be like, okay, I cannot be like, because if I'm notified of something, I immediately break focus and I'll just check it. And then all of a sudden I'm scrolling on Instagram, or I'm checking my email for the fourth time in like an hour. It's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I
So
get in those repetitive loops.
yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, this isn't, for everyone, but I try to work in like 4 90-minute blocks. It just doesn't always work out like that, but it's like I tell myself, you only have to sit there for 90 minutes.
Hmm.
The phone isn't even in the same room. There's no notifications on my Mac. It's literally
Hmm.
just what I'm doing, and I'm a pen and paper pen and paper and post-it kind of
Yes.
gal. You'll write down, this is the one thing I'm doing for 90 minutes, hyper focus, and then step away and then just see how that works. Now, when I can get that to work, because it isn't that easy for me anyway, when I can get that to work, I can just tick off, right, that was a big piece of work. I can only do 4 of those a day maximum, sometimes
Yeah.
3. When I started noticing that, I'm like, well, no wonder I always feel behind, because I was literally having these tasks for, build 3 websites in a day,
Hmm.
it's just not realistic. So now I'm slowing down, charging more,
Hmm.
creating this space, and just really noticing my patterns. And I think, I mean, I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
The biggest tip is to start noticing your patterns. So if you
Mm.
know it's emails, think, okay, I need to do something about that practical. Do not disturb, don't check. I tried to say not check them till 12 o'clock lunchtime.
Hmm.
I was just literally going into orbit because I couldn't handle that. So I let myself check my emails at like 8:45,
Uh-huh.
just in case there's an emergency.
Hmm.
Never is.
Yeah.
But my mind will calm down and go, okay, you did the thing, now go in and do the focused work. So it's kind of just having these practices that work for you. So okay, those are my things I need to watch out for. And then here's my little toolkit of going out into nature, drinking enough water, even just like standing up and down at your desk and doing some movement. All of these
Mhm.
things will help. I'll have to write a book.
Yes. I would love to read it.
But if you think about like building like a daily routine of like in your morning, you're bringing in fresh energy from the air.
Mhm.
At the end of your working day, go out again like a kind of ritual for, okay, I'm doing my closing down
Uh-huh.
nature walk. And then when you come back in again, it's for the evening. Now, I know that doesn't work for everyone if you've got family, or I know a lot of people like working in the evening. So
Mhm.
just find what works for you. But we need to like give ourselves this messaging that you've finished,
Yeah.
you can relax.
I 100% agree with that. I have a hard time of like, just keep going until I cannot anymore. And then, I don't know whether I'm falling asleep or my body is just like saying, nope, we're done now,
Yeah.
to do that. One thing that, as you were talking, like the checking the email and thinking, oh, there's an emergency or there's this urgency. How much do you think we place an emergency or urgency behind what we do that's not actually there? I mean, in web design and the things that we do, I mean, I'm just being honest, we're not out there saving lives. You know what I mean? Like we're always placing this urgency, this project needs to get sooner, or this has to be done, or this has to be like, all of those things, when in reality we could actually take a little bit of a break. So how do you battle kind of always feeling like there's an emergency or an urgency on the horizon? Because I feel like my body feel like almost self-imposes that on some of the work that I do.
No, I totally agree. And that again, that's not an easy one, but I've noticed a tendency to just sit there waiting, like waiting for content, waiting
Same.
waiting for feedback, even waiting for emails to come in. And I've caught myself thinking, what am I doing just sitting here waiting? What if I just take the day off? What if I
Mhm.
just step away? And whenever I do that, by the time I've gone out and had a great day out, I come home, all the information's there ready for the next day.
Mhm.
So we impose it on ourselves. Now there might be an emergency, a website might go down, but we can have that automated, can't we?
Mhm.
You don't have to be sitting there doing it. But the other thing, which is similar to, if we can just relax enough to hear our own thoughts, and then also start to understand that there's a right timing for things.
Mm.
And we start noticing, and it's very subtle, but when we start noticing, oh, that client's late with that content, I used to think, oh, I'm going to have to remind them and harass them and get really annoyed about it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, no, actually, that's delayed something to create space for something else. So what else is coming in?
Uh-huh.
So it's
I
like
had never thought about it that way.
yeah, it's like it's an amazing mindset shift of okay, if that project's a bit delayed, that's fine. Now I've got a space, what am I going to put in there? Okay, maybe it's just to have a break, have some downtime, or something else comes in that maybe is an emergency, and it's like, oh well, I can take that now because this was delayed.
Mm-hmm.
It's really learning to like just read these subtleties of what's really really going on rather than what we think's going on.
Yeah, no, I feel that too because sometimes I'll get and it's almost like a anticipation or like I guess a better word would be like antsy about like, oh, this has to be by this because I put this date on it and we need to, get it this way. I definitely feel like the self-imposed urgency and deadlines, but rephrasing it to think of those things as opportunity of
Mhm.
what else can come into the space.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, I have a really good one as well. I learned to ride a motorbike when I was 50, which is older than most people, and now we're finally getting sunshine after literally months. It rained every day for like over 2 months here,
Oh my
so
goodness.
I don't need much of an excuse to just go riding for the day.
Mhm.
So anytime I notice, oh, what was I doing, or waiting for something, or I can't progress a few things because I'm waiting on too many pieces of content or emails or something, I literally can just get up and go for the day. And the thing is,
Mhm.
with biking, you can't think about anything else apart from biking. So it really helps. It's an extreme one. I'm not saying everyone needs to get out and bike, but you probably should. That's one way to just really get out away from everything. Like it's very extreme, and to help you get back in your body because of the nature of motorbiking, the physicality of it. You literally have to
Mhm.
get out of your head right into your body. That does me the world of good, like absolutely, as well as, going out and connecting with nature.
I didn't even think about that, but most of the ideas and like almost when my mind is most productive and awake with fresh ideas is when I'm out shooting hoops and playing basketball. And it's
Mm-hmm.
probably because I'm having to do something physically at the same time as like, it just kind of breaks you out of the cycle of constantly being in your head because you have to do stuff physically. That's a
Yeah,
really good point.
absolutely. I mean, with going back to like the creativity a little bit,
Mhm.
I kind of worked this out because I noticed I started doing it, asking AI for ideas and things
Uh-huh.
like that. I'm very kinesthetic, so I feel things in my body, and I would get really stressed. I'd get agitated. I started getting angry and overwhelmed, and I'm like, okay, this is not really very nice interface. What's going on
Yeah.
here? So as a discipline, again, I will go out and walk, no phone, no podcast, just me,
Mhm.
and then just start being open to the possibility that nature can speak to me, and just be looking around, but not like hard pressured looking around, just gently relaxed, focused, just looking
Mhm.
around and walking. And then you start noticing things and you start hearing things, and then you start getting inspiration and then ideas and then flow and creativity. And then for me, I just come back and I'm just like buzzing and full of ideas. And that's how I describe it. Nature is speaking to me. Like
Mhm.
trees don't actually start saying, "Hey, Adela, got a really good idea for your LinkedIn post." It's that inspiration. That's how it speaks to me. So, listening to, I don't know, the wind on your face, listening to
Mhm.
birds singing. It's a lot of body awareness. Similar with the sports, it's a lot of body awareness. Like, what can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel?
Mhm.
Taste? All of it. Really getting into our senses.
Uh-huh.
We're much more receptive to flow, downloads, creativity, like whatever you want to call it, divine inspiration, anything you want to call it. That to me is where where we should be getting our inspiration from, not the artificial way.
Yes, and when you have those moments of a lot of the times it's self-creativity or, inspiration and ideas, but it's also reflection. Like
Mhm.
those reflection points of really taking you out and saying, what was going well this week, or what was, let's say you're ending a project and you're like, oh, what could I do better? Or what did I do really well? And kind of having those reflection points so that next time you can approach situations in a better manner.
Mhm.
A lot of the times,
Mhm.
would you say that you often like to reflect like on your walks and during the time when you're away from the computer?
I will. I mean, I said to you, I'm a coach, so it's all
Mhm.
about reflection, and coaches can drive other people a bit nuts sometimes because everything has meaning.
Mhm.
Everything is a reflection. Everything is for self-reflection. We tend to be very empathic. Um,
Mhm.
but I just remember a time when I was much younger and I was so reactive. Um, and reacting to emails and reacting to things and trying to control things, and I just brought so much stress back on me. But
Mhm.
I had a real, my come to God moment was realizing if I stopped sending out so many emails, I wouldn't get so many back, like work, for work to do. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so I'm totally brought all of that on myself, like
Mhm.
we don't have to row the boat all the time, like we can just allow. And that's like a massive lesson for me. Like we just allow, we receive, we create some space, we get clear on the lane that we're in,
Huh.
and then we just see what comes to us. And it's like a magnetic way of doing things rather than like this going out grabby kind of way of doing things. Allowing things to come to us. We're not taught to do things that way. But
Mm-mm.
we're all, like we said earlier, if content's late and we have a space, it's like, oh, the universe might drop something in there for me. If I haven't got the space, it's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about, because I am very much type A, like the control aspect. Again, I think that comes with perfectionism, controlling the narrative, controlling situations,
Yep.
being the person to facilitate all of that stuff. But some of the best moments have come when I've just allowed things. Like I'm just like, okay, I'm not controlling over this situation, or like in my friend groups, and having somebody else, take over the reins of doing the party planning for somebody. It's like then I get to go and have a better experience because I'm
Mhm.
not the one trying to pull the strings or pull the reins.
Yeah.
And so maybe incorporating a little bit more of that into like my web design process, or my business practices and stuff will be really helpful.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, maybe there's a connection there with checking the emails. Like for me, it is, if I'm always on top of my emails, I think I can stay in control, but it actually is not logical, really, because it's just one thing, but it's telling our brain, like inbox zero, like, is that a thing?
Uh-huh.
If I can stay on top of my emails, I can stay on top of my life.
Yes.
Control this, then I can control that. Reality is we can't control anything. So
Mhm.
just go out and sit with a tree.
That's a good point, is almost connecting those points of like, oh, I can control if I have things in my inbox. So that means I'm completely in control of my life. Almost associating things that actually don't have anything to do with each other, but in our minds, we're just making that connection to like make ourselves feel better almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is all, I mean, we could go off on a tangent on this
Mhm.
one, but it's all, the perfectionism's a very similar thing. We control these things for some reason. And we think by being perfectionists or having an ordered inbox, it's going to help. I mean, maybe it does momentarily, but the inbox doesn't stay like that for very long, does it?
No, it doesn't. There's always tomorrow, and there's always going to be new and more emails coming in.
That's, I mean, something I've noticed, because I've spent the last probably 9 months now working with a lot of AI and just learning systems, learning Claude mainly at the moment, playing around with kind of Gemini and Perplexity a bit. But I want to understand how they work and how I can use them actually to make my business calmer and more organized. So I was saying to you earlier, like using something like Claude Co-work, I'm learning to use how to organize my files and my work, because I've got things in emails, in files, in Asana, in Notion, and I'm like in notes, in
Yeah.
docs, and I'm like, wow, okay, I know I've done some piece of writing, or I know I've done something, I don't know where it is, so I start doing it again, or use something like Claude Cowork to say, okay, find me these files, help me organize my files. So for something like that, I'm really happy to spend the time learning just to keep things in order. It's another controlling thing, but
Yes.
keep things in order, and then it's easier and we're not duplicating work. So it's like, it's not a carte blanche, or I'm certainly not saying don't use AI for anything, but I'm definitely sticking with my mantra of talk to a tree, not ChatGPT.
That is wonderful. First of all, definitely clipping that out.
Yeah, I have to do a t-shirt with it, but
Yeah.
it's just, again, it comes back to mindfulness, understanding what we're doing, why we're doing it, and not kind of getting I think with marketing, not just AI, but marketing and what we take in online, we can really just get pulled down this really fast flowing river if we're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up somewhere where we weren't trying to get to. Like, we're trying to go over there, but we let the flow carry us down over there.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, and this, I'm just making this analogy up as it's coming, but it's like you kind of you got to jump out of the river and stand on the bank and just let it go. Like, you don't have to go with it. You can just actually just get the heck out of the way. Because I can certainly get pulled into the new, the newest AI this or the newest that. Although, as we discovered earlier, I never did go over to the dark side of Elementor. I stayed with Devi.
That was a little tidbit from our chat before we started the podcast on the differences between her using Divi and me using Elementor.
Yeah, so another creative confession. But yeah, it's a lot. It's very similar principles under all of it. Not comparing and being really mindful of what information that we're taking in, because the other thing we're doing is we're filling ourselves up with other stuff, when really what we want to be doing is getting it all out. My mind is busy enough. I don't really need any more ideas. I actually definitely don't need any more ideas.
Me too. I have so many just stuck in here.
Yeah. So it's like I need more space and just more calm. And then I've noticed I enjoy things a lot more now because I have space and I have the time. And I know that I do my 90-minute blat. I remember to drink water. I remember to step away. I'm lucky I've got a couple of cats, so I can go and play with them and get distracted. But then I've managed to stop what used to feel like a kind of runaway steam train, because I would be working like right up to 10, 11 o'clock at night. I would not leave the house. Sometimes for like a couple of weeks, I'd not left the house because I'm just work. And I thought that isn't a way to live, especially during like the lockdown time. I wouldn't need to leave the house. It was all work, and I lost connections. I lost a sense of self. I lost like my motivation. It was actually a really depressing time. I was like, okay, I need to really be mindful not to let my life go down that road again, because it just slips day by day by day. Whereas now I do my 4-day week.
Yes. That is my goal.
It's a focused 4-day week. And then making sure I don't do, like, I have Fridays off, and make sure I stick to that and have that boundary. And to start with, that felt like I can just get that extra thing done, or I can just, I don't know, do some more posting on social media or something, or I can actually just take that day for me to just really nourish and nurture myself. And now I've been doing it a while. I only need 4 days. Like, I only need 4 days to work, because I'm not messing around with, I nearly swore then, I'm not checking my emails all the time. I'm not perfecting things all the time. I'm not going through things again. I've saved a whole day. So I don't need to work Fridays.
Yeah, I feel that as well. And the piece that you spoke to was enjoyment, because at the end of the day, what are we doing all this for? Are we just working to work more, or are we working to be able to enjoy a life that we love to live? And so it's hard to get, when you're so focused and so in the computer all the time, you don't think about the bigger picture of things. And so I think that's kind of where the nature aspect comes back in around, is like you're outside of yourself and you're looking at all these things that are for one, not controlled by you because the birds are going to chirp in the morning whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just having the enjoyment of life, because that's the whole purpose in
Yeah.
everything that we're doing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been guilty of getting sucked into these earn seven figures on after this 30-day and it's like, actually, I think those are quite disingenuous. I'm not quite sure that is what they say they are. A lot of it's in careful manipulation of numbers, like these projected seven figures. And why do I do that? Why would I get sucked into that? Because that isn't who I am. That isn't the alignment I want. It's a massive lesson for me. Is I'd like a small amount of clients who I can work with in all the different aspects of their business. I don't need these, like, however many clients you would be pulling in from these marketing kind of ads that are very, very clever, because they really hook us into I call them like emotional ghoulies. Like, they really get into the emotion, like, oh, and it's like, no, I know who I am. I know how I like to work. I have clients who say, I've built their website and then we do some email marketing, or I'm doing Oracle decks, I said to you, like, and books, and helping clients see how all these bits work together for them and helping them like launch their dream. That's really good fun.
Yes,
That's
I relate heavily. Yeah, awesome. Well, we are getting close to the end of the interview. I know you dropped several creative confessions, by the way, which were all wonderful. Did you have a final creative confession that you would like to leave us off on?
Oh, well, I think my final one was that I really do talk to trees. If my neighbours saw me, I mean, I'm lucky we live in the countryside. There's a lot of dog walkers, so I literally will be up there talking to trees. I do take my phone with me for voice dictation, and I am producing an inspiration deck for women who work in tech, and I have this vision that it's going to be, on their desk while they're working, and when they notice they're going into a loop, they literally will draw a card, and it's going to give them like an inspiration from nature. So I am going out talking to my trees, asking for inspiration from nature, and that's actually be really, really good fun and quite interesting what creativity is coming through as I'm talking to these different trees. I've never done this before. I just decided I was going to do it. So I've gone out and I've spoken to 4 trees now, and I'm just going to keep going till I have enough from my deck. And so that's the kind of, it was my 2026 vision to literally just help women in tech remember that we are connected to nature, and just have a little reminder, I've got my decks are over there, a little reminder that's physical, that we can just put our hand on it, grab a card, even if it just says go and breathe the air. Like, it doesn't matter how simple it is, it's just to have this little piece of nature in your hand. So that'll be my creative confession. Watch this space, because now I have to do it. Now I've said it.
I love it. A little accountability too.
Little accountability with you and your lovely audience.
First of all, I love that mission of helping women get back in touch with nature that are in the tech world, because we can get so in our heads, so on the computer, and it's even hard for me to go and take a step outside for 5 minutes. I constantly feel like I'm not doing enough or I'm missing something. So I think that's a powerful mission, and I'm excited to see the deck and how everything's gonna, come to fruition.
Hey.
Awesome. Well, do you have any resources or free trainings that you could share with the audience so they can learn more about you and your mission and what you're building?
Sure. So I have on my site already, I have a guide to how to run a more sustainable business, which does go into quite a lot of details. I have a guide for how to build more sustainable websites. So there is, I've actually got the book here. This is a company in the UK. Actually, there's literally a whole book on sustainable web design. So I just want to give Tom Greenwood a shout out. I think it was at the WordPress meetup like last year or the year before. But just helping you understand that you can be more green with what you're doing. I'm going to have a digital detox guide coming out it's after the Women of Web Summit, actually, just to give people some tips. I mean, we know a lot of this already, but just to have a guide where you can take some steps to defrag, detox from working on the computer, and also like declutter. Like if you
Uh-huh.
saw my desktop right now, you'd laugh. So that'll be on the site as well. And then of course the cards are going to be coming out. So I'll probably have a waiting list for those, because I'm going to ask for some beta testers first before those go out for the public. So lots of goodies.
Awesome.
My website's Jackdaw, like the bird. I don't think you don't call them jackdaws in the States, I don't think, but in Europe they're called jackdaws. They're like crows, kind of like crows, same family. So it's jackdaw.eco, because my company is sustainable, hence the eco domain, which I know a lot of people don't know what that is. So jackdaw.eco.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I am super excited to link all of your resources below and in the newsletter. And then I'm excited to see us both at the Women of Web Summit, because this podcast will come out before the Women of Web Summit. So, yeah. Yeah, little promo. We will see you there. You got to come to the Women of Web Summit. All the best women are there.
Do you know what you're going to be talking about? Have you got your theme?
I'm still toying around with something, but gonna finalize it this weekend.
Can't wait to see.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexia.